Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Pam, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet chevron and how to attach granny squares to it. So this is based off a pattern that my grandmother was using, but where she got that pattern, I don't know. In her lifetime, my grandmother has made lots of chevron blankets, and I think a lot of people have blankets like that their grandmother made. And so this pattern I'm showing you is based on a pattern that my grandmother was using to make me one. Unfortunately, my grandmother didn't finish my blanket, and so I had to figure out how she did it. Because when she was in the hospital, I had asked her, do you want me to leave it as is or do you want me to finish the blanket? And she said she wanted me to finish the blanket because she felt really bad she didn't finish it. And I told her, don't worry about it, Grandma, because that means that this gets to be a project that we make together. Anyways, so this pattern is based off the pattern she was using. But I know a lot of people, when my grandmother did it, the way she did it puts gaps in the valleys. And a lot of people really don't like that. They like it to look seamless and smooth and no gaps. So I'm actually going to show you how to do it where you can have gaps or no gaps in both the peaks and the valleys. This here, there are gaps in the peaks and gaps in the valley. It all starts generally the same way as far as the math goes for getting started. And yes, there's math. I'm sorry. I know, but I have looked up some tutorials online for crocheting chevrons, and some of those math equations can be ridiculously complicated. This is not. I assure you this is actually really easy. And I have a tip to help you if you get to the end and you find that you were a couple chains short of your row. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to show you how to do chevrons with and without gaps, but it's all going to start the same. So for the record, with using a 5mm H-hook and worsted weight yarn, each of these peaks from valley to valley is going to be approximately 3.5 inches. So you can figure out how wide you want your blanket to be and get an estimate on how many peaks you would need by just dividing it by 3.5 and then just sort of rounding that number off, and that'll give you the number of peaks you need for chevron. So for instance, the blanket my grandmother has made me has 16 peaks on it and it's 56 inches wide. Now, to find out how many chains you need to start with, all you do is take the number of peaks that you need, multiply it times 15, and take that entire total and just knock off one stitch. What? They're controllers?
Yeah.
Made out of Legos?
Yeah.
Okay. So for instance, my grandmother's blanket having 16 peaks, you would do 16 times 15, which would be 240, subtract 1, and that's 239 chains to start. This is not the same as taking the number of peaks times 14, because you're only taking one off the total, not one off each peak. So using this same example, 16 times 14 is only 224, and that's not enough chains to get started. You can see those numbers are very different. So it is the number of peaks you want times 15, subtract 1. That's all the math you need to do to figure out your starting number of chains. So for instance, for this tutorial, I'm going to do a chevron with 3 peaks. Because it has 3 peaks, 3 times 3.5 is 10.5. So it's going to be approximately 10.5 inches wide. That's how I can figure out the width. And then those 3 peaks times 15 stitches is 45 minus 1, and I get 44 chains. I know not many people like math, but it's really not too bad of math. I've seen some chevron blankets with more complex numbers than that, but just the number of peaks you want times 15, subtract 1 from the total, and that's how many chains you need to start. So for this one, we're doing 3 peaks, so we need 44 chains. For this first example, I'm going to show you how to do it with no gapping in the peaks or the valleys. So, these are just like mountains. The top is the peak, and in between the mountains are the valleys. So we're going to start, for this example, with 44 chains, since we're going to be making 3 peaks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. 44 chains to start. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be doing half double crochet stitches. And starting not in the first chain, but the second chain from the hook, we're going to work 6 half double crochets. So 2, whoopsies, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 half double crochets. Then into the next chain, we're going to place 3 half double crochets all in that one stitch. 1, 2, 3, all in that one stitch. Now be kind of careful because sometimes it can warp your next stitch. You don't want to accidentally skip that. We're going to do 5 half double crochets. We just did our peak. The 3 half double crochets in one stitch creates our peak. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're descending down into the valley. And you can see here, there's our peak. So the 3 half double crochet in one stitch creates the peak. We're now going to half double crochet 2 together to create the valley. And we're going to actually do that twice. So it's half double crochet 2 together twice. The way I do it is yarn over, insert your hook and draw up a loop like you're going to half double crochet. And then just go right into the next stitch and just draw up another loop. And you'll have 4 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. There's 1. Let me show you that again. Make sure you don't go into the stitch you just worked. Go into the next stitch and draw up a loop. Sorry, that's my phone. Draw up a loop like you're going to half double crochet, and then just go right into the next stitch and draw up another loop. Yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. This is going to cinch everything together and create your valley. Now we're going to do 5 half double crochets, making sure you don't work into this stitch because this stitch here goes into here. You can see that was worked. So we're going into the next chain. And we're going to half double crochet 5 times. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to work our peak again. So 3 half double crochets into one stitch. 1, 2, 3. Going back down, 5 half double crochets, or I should say half double crochet 5 times. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're in the next valley. So we're going to half double crochet 2 together twice. So draw up a loop like you're going to half double crochet, and then just draw up a loop almost like you're going to single crochet in the next one. Yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, draw up a loop. Insert your hook in the next stitch, draw up a loop. Yarn over, pull through all 4. There's our half double crochet 2 together twice. Now we're going to half double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to create our last peak. So into the next stitch, put 3 half double crochets all in that stitch. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to half double crochet 6 times to finish off. 1, whoopsies, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you've managed to do this and end up with the right number of stitches and no issues, congratulations, because honestly, this initial row can be the hardest part of chevron crochet. But if for some reason, say you come to the end and you're like, wait a minute, I have too many stitches, you can actually just unravel those and then retie the initial knot, which I can't really show you that because I don't have extra chains. But if you get to the end and you don't have enough, say you've done like 4 and you need 2 more and you're like, oh no, I have to rip it out and start over again. You don't have to rip it out and start over again. You can utilize something called a foundation chain to actually correct that. So in this case, because we're doing half double crochets, you would correct it with what's called a foundation half double crochet. So to do that, you would yarn over and insert your hook into the last stitch that you already worked into and draw up a loop, just like you're going to half double crochet, but yarn over and just pull through just one loop. That kind of creates like a chain. And then yarn over and pull through all three to kind of finish off the half double crochet. Now see this gap right there? That's your new chain for the base. So say you need to do another one. Yarn over, go now into this space here, which there'll be 2 loops on the bottom you'll be going through. Draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through one, yarn over, pull through all 3. And you'll see you can actually extend it however much you need to if you messed up your initial count. You just keep going back into that stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through one, and then finish your half double crochet. And look, isn't that funny? You can extend it. So that's one way to fix it if for some reason your stitch count was off, your initial stitch count. Mine was not, so back to where I was. At the end of the row, chain 1 turn. Now, quick explanation of things. When you are doing chevron crochet, you are doing an increase of 3 at the top, 1 on each side here, right? And in the bottoms, you're doing the decrease, 1 for each side, right? But you have no decrease on this side because there's no real valley there. That's the edge. And same for the other end. So what ends up happening is that if you count, if you look where your 3 half double crochet are on the top, there's the middle one. This is the middle one right here, which means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches going down the side, and we need that to be 6 again, because if we just work up the 7 and then work our 3 half double crochet here at the top where it's supposed to be, this side's going to keep perpetually increasing by 1 stitch, and your blanket's going to start doing this on both sides, and you don't want it to do that. So when you do your chain 1 turn, we need to start and end each subsequent row with a decrease of some kind. Now the way I choose to do that is when I'm starting, I simply skip the first stitch, and when I'm ending, I actually half double crochet the last 2 stitches together. Chain 1 turn, and whenever you're working every subsequent row, skip the first stitch. You could half double crochet the first 2 stitches together if you want. I actually like the look of it better if you just skip it. Now another thing is that if you want this really neat looking line to form, where you have these cool lines going through your project, you don't have to do this, but one thing you can do is instead of working through here like you normally would, you would actually work through the bottom loop and the front loop instead of the front loop and the back loop. And by doing that, you'll end up with this really cool line left on this side. It's really, really neat. And so I'm actually going to do that. But again, we're not working into that first stitch because we're going to skip that stitch. So I'm going to go into the second stitch, and instead of going under the top loops, I'm going to work all my stitches under the bottom loop and front loop. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I think it looks really pretty. So I'm going to half double crochet starting in the second stitch, not the first stitch. And I'm going to half double crochet 6 times. So this one is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me show you. Look at that. Really cool line on the back. Now, if you notice, we're now in the middle. The next stitch is the middle stitch of the top 3. So that's where we want to be. We're going to put 3 half double crochets all in this one stitch. 1, 2, 3, all in that one stitch. Now you're going to notice the pattern forming again. We got 3 in the peak, 5 down the side, crochet 2 together twice, and 5, and then peak, and we're just going to keep repeating that. So we did 3 in the peak. We're now going to half double crochet 5 times down the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to half double crochet 2 together twice. So there is 1 and 2. Now, I'm not going to work in here because that goes into there. Sorry, my baby's not feeling well, so she's napping on the chair right next to me. Now, I just worked into this stitch, so this is the next stitch I need to work into. I'm going to half double crochet 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, I keep trying to pull this yarn and it keeps getting caught on everything. It's driving me nuts. So now you'll look, we're back at our peak again. So into the peak, we're going to put 3 half double crochets, all into that one stitch. 2, 3. Now we're going to do 5 down the side. We're going to keep repeating this pattern till we get to the end. 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to half double crochet 2 together twice. So there's 1, 2. Now we're going to half double crochet 5 times. Make sure you're working in the next stitch, not the one you just worked into. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to put 3 in the peak. And then we're working on our last side, and our last side is going to be a little different because, again, we have to do a decrease or it's going to perpetually grow larger. So we've got our 3 in the peak. We're now going to do half double crochet down the side 5 times. Honestly, it's going to mimic like you're doing over here, because when you think about it, over here you've got 5 half double crochet and half double crochet 2 together. And then on this side, half double crochet 2 together, half double crochet 5 times. So this is kind of like doing this right here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then half double crochet the last 2 stitches together, so we end up with just 6. That's the end of that row. And then when you get to the end of that row, chain 1 turn. And look at this cool line. Isn't that neat? Now, just like we did for the last row, we're going to skip the first stitch, yarn over, and go into the second stitch, and we're going to half double crochet 6 times, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you'll see the next stitch is the center of the peak. We're going to put 3 half double crochets at the peak. Now we're going to start our descent to the valley with 5 half double crochets, 1 in each of the next 5 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, and half double crochet 2 together twice. So here is 1, 2. And you'll see by doing it this way, you don't really get any gapping in the valley, and you get no gapping in the peak. So then we're going back up with 5 more half double crochets. I'm really sorry about the coughing and stuff. So we've done our 5 going back to the top. We're at the peak again. Put 3 in the peak. I hope you noticed the pattern at this point. 5 up, 3 in the top, 5 down, half double crochet 2 together twice. Now we're going to half double crochet 2 together. There's once. There's twice. Again, if it's too cumbersome for you to work in the bottom and front loops, just work them as normal. It still looks good. 2, 5 back up the other side, 4, 5, whoops, 3 at the top, 1, 2, 3, and then on this final side, 5 going down the side, and then half double crochet 2 together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then half double crochet the last 2 stitches together. Chain 1, turn. By doing it this way, you have no gaps here, no gaps here. Let's do one more row together, and then I'm going to show you how to color change. So again, skip the first stitch and then half double crochet 6 times. This is kind of like the equivalent of half double crochet 2 together and then half double crochet 5 times, which you could do if you really want to. So there's 3, this is 4, 5, 6, and then 3 in the top. So you see there's our center 3 in the peak, and we're going to go in that middle one. That's where we're at next. So 3 half double crochets into that center one, and then 5 going down the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to half double crochet 2 together twice. 1, 2, then half double crochet 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to put 3 half double crochets in the top. 1, 2, 3, 5 down the side again. And then half double crochet 2 together in the bottom valley. Half double crochet 5 times going up the side. Put 3 half double crochets in the peak. Ooh, the sun went away. And then half double crochet 5 times. 1, 2, 3. And another way you can decrease too, just for the record, is to simply skip the second to last stitch and work right into the last stitch. But I just half double crochet the 2 together. Now when you want to change colors, you always do that with the final yarn over of the last stitch. So for instance, I'm half double crocheting these 2 together. I've got 4 loops on my hook, and at this point I would yarn over and pull through everything to complete the stitch. But I'm going to yarn over and pull through everything with my new color to complete the stitch. So here I've got some yellow. I'm going to yarn over with the yellow and just pull through everything with that. and then chain one with my new color. I can cut the blue, and I'm ready to continue on. So I've done my chain one with the yellow and turn, skip the first stitch, starting in the second stitch, half double crochet 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 in the top. 1, 2, 3, and then 5 down the side again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half double crochet 2 together twice. Then half double crochet 5 times. And then at the peak, half double crochet 3 times, all in that one stitch. Half double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches, going back down again. Half double crochet 2 together twice. Half double crochet 5 times back up to the peak. Half double crochet 3 times. And then finish with 5 half double crochet and then half double crochet 2 together. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Now when you're finished, you just chain 1, cut, and tie. And then you can tie these tails together so that you don't lose your work. Don't pull them too tight initially when you're knotting them, and then these tails can get fished in. Now let me show you how to do this with the gaps in the peaks and the valleys. I personally find that prettier, but I know a lot of people like it nice and closed. But let me show you how to do the ones with the gaps. So for this example, start with a simple slip knot and 44 chains because I'm going to be doing 3 peaks again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. So get yourself, if you're doing this sample, get yourself 44 chains and meet me back here. Now I actually find it's easier to follow the pattern when you're doing it with gaps than without. You'll find out in a minute why. So again, starting in the second chain from the hook, not the first, but the second chain, we're going to half double crochet 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Now, this time instead of doing 3 half double crochets right into that one stitch, we're actually going to do a half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet in that stitch. Now we're going to half double crochet 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to skip 2 chains, and going into the 3rd chain, we're going to half double crochet, going back up 6 times collectively. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you'll see by doing a half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, we've created our peak, and by doing our skip 2 chains, we've created a valley. So now we're creating our next peak. So into the next stitch, half double crochet, chain 1, and half double crochet all in that same stitch. My yarn's driving me nuts. And then half double crochet going down the side 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we're going to simply skip 2 chains, and then starting in the 3rd chain, half double crochet 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By the way, that's my 2-year-old that's hacking up a storm, and Honey has been helping her, but Honey only helps so much, unfortunately. Pediatrician said that will be probably the best thing I can give her, actually, and I think I agree with him. So into this stitch, we're going to half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, all in the same stitch. Again, I apologize if her coughing catches, like sometimes I'm talking and she's coughing over me as I'm talking. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to edit all that out so you don't have to listen to her incessant coughing like I have to listen to, because it's just absolutely heartbreaking and also really distracting. So going back down the side, we're going to half double crochet 6 times. So this was our half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you'll see the same starting number of chains works as well. Chain 1, turn, and just like before, I'm going to be working in the bottom loop and front loop instead of the top 2 loops. I really like the stripy look, and just like with the other one, I'm going to skip that first stitch and start in the 2nd stitch to do my decrease for this side, and I'm going to half double crochet up to the top 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you'll see now I have a chain 1 space there. So now we're going to be working into this chain 1 space here, and into that space we're going to do just like we did with the other peak for the starting row. We're going to half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet all in that space. Now we're going to half double crochet 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, there's our new peak with that little bit of a gap. And to create the valley is just as simple as just skip the next 2 stitches. So you can see we worked into that stitch. We're going to skip that one and start in this one with our 6 going back up to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now into this chain 1 space here, we're going to do a half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. Now we're going to half double crochet 6 times going back down to the valley. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip 2 stitches and starting in the third, half double crochet 6 times back up to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now into this chain 1 space, half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. And then we're going to half double crochet down the side, doing a decrease on the end because we have to decrease our sides or it will perpetually grow larger. And so we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can either do half double crochet 2 together, or you can just skip the second to last one and just work a half double crochet into that very last stitch. See? But I personally like the look better if you half double crochet the last 2 stitches together. Chain 1, turn. And see, now you've got gaps, which I think looks better the more you have. So let's go back up again. Skip the first stitch, starting in the second stitch, half double crochet 6 times. Now we're at that peak. Into that space, we're going to half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. Now coming back down, 6 half double crochets. Now if you're wondering why it's 6 and not 5, even though it's the same number of base chains, when we were doing the bottom valleys without gaps, we would have to join these 2 together with these 2 together. But we're just skipping those 2 middle ones. So we're just half double crocheting down to this point and then starting again at this point. So that's why we can have 6 going down. So this one's number 6. And then just simply skip 2. And then starting in the third one, do 6 going back up to the top. The way my grandmother made my blanket, or started making my blanket, was actually with just doing the skip 2 at the bottom and the 3 at the top. So she kind of combined the 2 together. So we've got 3, 6, and then at the top, half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, and then 6 going back down the other side. So my grandmother would do 3 half double crochets at the top, and she would just skip 2 in the bottom, and that was how she did it. So when I made my TikTok video about how I did it, or I should say how my grandmother did it and how I'm continuing it, because my grandmother passed away last November, people were asking if the gap in the bottom was normal and how to close it, because apparently that bothered people. So, and there is a way to close it. Instead of skipping 2, you would just do half double crochet 2 together twice. So we just skip 2 stitches in the bottom, that creates our valley. And we just half double crochet 6 times back up to the peak. And you get to where you don't even have to count, you can just look at it and know what to do. And I find that's easier when you're doing the sort of gappy method than if you're doing the ones where there's no gaps in the valleys or peaks. But then on this final side, don't forget to do your decrease. So in this case, we're going to half double crochet 5 times. 3, 4, 5. And then half double crochet 2 together, so we have collectively 6 going down the side again, not 7 turning into 8. So you can see when you work into the row below, it kind of opens the gap up a little bit, and I actually like them. I mean, I think they're pretty. So let's do that one more time. Chain 1, turn. We're going to skip the first stitch, half double crochet 6 times going up. That one can be a little tricky. And then half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet into that chain 1 space from the previous row. And then half double crochet back down to the valley 6 times. And then to create the valley, you simply skip 2 stitches and start working back up, starting in the 3rd stitch with 6 half double crochets back up to the peak. And then half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet into the peak. 6 times down to the valley. And then skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, starting in the 3rd one, 6 times back up to the top. And then half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet into the previous row's chain 1 space at the peak. Yes, buddy.
Paint.
Okay, hold on a second. I'll get you some stuff to paint.
I got my stuff.
Then we're going to half double crochet 5 times going down, and then half double crochet the last 2 stitches together.
I got my stuff.
I know, buddy. I'm almost on this row. Give me 1 second.
I already got my stuff.
Now let me actually make another little sample swatch like this really quick so I can show you a really neat trick to join some chevron together with some granny squares. You can actually do that, like join as you go, and I'll show you how to do that. Now for funsies, I made 2 little samples. I did it using the gappy method so that the valleys and the peaks have gaps, because I find that's easier when you want to join with squares. But I'm going to show you how to join these 2 pieces together I made, these 2 kind of swatches with some squares. And the way I'm going to do is by lining the bottoms up, and if you see, square spaces. So I'm going to show you how we can join these 2 pieces together with a really basic granny square. Now I'm going to make these granny squares with 2 colors each. So to do the first row of the granny square, just do a simple slip knot with your whatever color you're going to use. Chain 5. And then you're going to slip stitch to the first chain you made to form a ring. And you're going to work into that ring, and what I like to do is work over this tail as well. And we're going to start with a chain 2. It's going to count as our first double crochet, and then put 2 double crochets into this ring. That's one side of the granny square. Now we're going to chain 2. That's going to create a corner space. Going back into the ring with 3 more double crochets. There's another side, chain 2, go back into the ring with 3 more double crochets, chain 2, there's our other corner, and then we have one more side to this granny square, so 3 more double crochets. There's the last side, chain 2, that makes the last corner, and join to the top of your initial chain 2 here. Or 3. You can chain 3 if you typically do that. So there's the inside of our granny square. And I'm just going to cut and tie that so I can do the outer layer with a different color. And I'm going to join as I go. Now, if that's too difficult for you, because it can be a little cumbersome and tricky, just crochet the second row and then just seam it onto your space. But I'm going to do another. What color should I do for the outer row? That's hard. I think I'll do yellow. Yeah, we'll do yellow. Okay. So with your yellow, I like to make a slip knot and then join to this corner where my string is. I like to just go in there with like a sort of single crochet and chain 1, and that counts as my first double crochet. So I'm going to, into that same space, I'm going to, double crochet 2 more times. 1, 2. Now that's half of the corner done. This is the side, and normally on the sides of my granny squares I put a chain 1. Instead of a chain 1, I'm actually going to join. So I think I'm going to put this one down here. The peaks and the valleys are going to be the corners of your square, and these, the edges, the middle of these sides are going to be, well, the middle of the side of the square. So I'm just going to pick one of these sides. I think I'll start here just because it's facing upright to me. Pick one of the stitches in the middle, so about right here, and just slip stitch. I insert my hook from front to back, draw up a loop, and just slip stitch. Now I'm going to go into this next corner with the first half of this corner, which is 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. Now, normally in the corners, just like with the first row, we do a chain 2. But instead, I'm going to slip stitch to this peak and this peak, going front to back. So into that space, front to back, slip stitch, and into this corresponding peak, front to back, with a slip stitch. Now I'm going to turn everything to make this a little easier to work. I'm going to yarn over and put the last 3 double crochets into this space. So 1, 2, 3. Now, normally I would do a chain 1 on the side, but I'm going to replace that chain 1 with a slip stitch somewhere in the middle of these stitches here. So pick a stitch. I think it's an even number, so I don't think it really matters which one you pick, because there's no perfect middle. And then we're going to do 3 double crochet into this next corner. We're going to start the next corner. 1, 2, 3. Right? Let me center you a little bit more. Now, instead of a chain 2, I'm going to slip stitch into this valley and chain 1. So insert the hook front to back, draw up a loop, pull right on through with a slip stitch. Let me rotate everything a little bit more so it's easier to follow, and chain 1. Now we're going to finish this corner by going back in with 3 more double crochet. 2, 3. Now find a spot in the midpoint here and just sort of slip stitch. I'm going to rotate everything again a little bit more and make it easier to follow. And going into our next corner, whoops, way too high up there. There we go. Going into the next corner, I'm going to put 3 double crochet here. Now we're going to be joining, instead of a chain 2, we're going to be joining this end with this end. So go into this end here, whoop, front to back with a slip stitch into the corresponding opposite piece. Insert the hook front to back. If I can get in there, there we go. with a slip stitch. Whoopsies, I put the yarn on the wrong side. Yarn on this side. It makes a difference. And slip stitch. See, now my yarn's on this side. That's what I want. Told you, this can be cumbersome. If this is too hard for you, just make the square and join afterwards. So then I'm going back into the space with the last 3 double crochets for this corner. And again, instead of a chain 1 in between the corners onto the side, you just slip stitch to somewhere in the middle of here. And now notice we've got one more corner to do, so we're going to go into this space with the last 3 double crochet. We did the first 3 double crochet for this corner when we started. We're just doing the last 3 now. Whoops. And we're going to slip stitch into this valley. Insert the hook front to back. It's kind of awkward here. Draw up the loop and slip. Chain 1. And then just join to the top. See, here's my single crochet I sort of joined with because that's just how I do it. And then my chain 1 over top of it, I'm going to join to that chain 1 with a slip stitch. And then cut and tie. I love knots. So what I'll do is I'll make a knot. Send this to the back. And then I will, usually what I like to do is take these tails and tie them together. And I'll fish those tails in when I'm done. So there's one. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Let's do another one. Let's do this one now. I think this time we're going to do the center of this one yellow and the outside layer green on this one. So we're going to start with a basic slip knot. And again, to make our granny square, chain 5. Slip stitch to the first chain you made to form a ring, chain 2, double crochet 2 times. Your chain 2 counts as your first double crochet. Chain 2, that's your corner. Do 3 double crochets into that ring again. This is going to create your second side. Chain 2 will create your second corner. 3 double crochets back into that ring again. That creates your third side. Chain 2. And back into the ring one more time with 3 more double crochets to create your fourth and final side. Chain 2. And slip stitch to the top of your chain 2. And there's the first row. If you make this the same color, obviously you don't have to cut and tie. You can just kind of move on to the next row, but I'm going to change color, which I honestly think makes this a little bit easier. And I'm going to make the outside of this row green because I feel like we need more green close to the center of this project. Like that's what we need there. So I'm going to do a slip knot in my green. And then going into this space, I'm going to join with a single crochet and a chain 1. That's going to count as my first double crochet. And then I'm going to double crochet 2 more times into that corner space. Move all these strings out of my way. And I'm going to start along the middle of a side. So I'm just going to pick a side. So I'm going to do right here. And I'm going to just slip stitch to the side. And then I'm going to put 3 double crochets into the next corner. Whoop. Now I'm going to slip stitch into this peak here. And this peak here, inserting my hook front to back, keeping my yarn on the correct side. And then I'm going to go back into this space with 3 more double crochets to finish off this corner for the second row of the granny square. Instead of a chain 1, I'm just going to pick a stitch in the midpoint. Perhaps this one will do, with a slip stitch, and start my 3 double crochets in my next corner. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the valley and chain 1 and put 3 more double crochets into this space. Rotate everything again, pick a midpoint and join with a slip stitch, inserting my hook front to back, and then 3 double crochets into the next corner. Now when you get to a corner that is a shared corner, try to avoid working into this other square and just work into these same peaks as you worked that square. So slip stitch to that peak, slip stitch to that peak, and then continue on with 3 more double crochets into this corner. Now pick somewhere midpoint along the side and struggle, no, I'm just kidding, and join with a slip stitch. Push that string to the back, yarn over and do the final 3 double crochets. Whoop. And then this last stitch can be a little tight. Go into the valley front to back with a slip stitch, chain 1, and join not to the single crochet join but to the top of the chain. And you don't have to join like I do, but you know, do whatever works for you. But this is just how I do it because it's just how I do it. I'm gonna just tuck that back, get in there, and we'll fish those tails in. Look at that. Now we've got one more. What color should we do? I feel like if we did blue and yellow here, so I feel like we should do green and brown here, but I don't want brown on brown, so brown will be the center and green will be, well, I don't know, because then the green will be outside here. This is tricky. What colors should I use? Trying not to have regrets. Whoa, I just smacked my phone, sorry. What if I did, instead of blue yellow, I did brown yellow, so then it would be yellow, green, yellow, you know what I mean? Maybe brown yellow instead of blue yellow. What happened?
Every time she goes outside, she just hurts herself.
Well, she's a toddler.
She gets dripping.
Oh, did you trip again? You want to play outside?
Oh.
You want to stay inside?
Oh.
You want to go stand in the doorway?
Oh.
You want me to hold you upside down? You didn't say no. Amelia, help me out really quick. This is my struggle. I don't want a color against a color, right?
Yeah.
So I did blue yellow. And then I was like, oh, I could do like green brown for over here. But I already have green on the outside, and if I put brown on the outside, brown will be against there, and I don't like the idea of like yellow, green, green. You know what I mean? So I was kind of thinking maybe do yellow on the outside again, so it's like yellow, green, yellow, but then the inside would be blue, yellow, brown. Yeah, I was thinking brown.
Yeah, that
So
sounds like
brown,
a good idea.
brown and yellow.
What do you want to do, Juju?
Okay, so she agrees with my idea. Okay, so we'll do the last one with brown center and a yellow outside. So brown. Let's do this one more time. So chain 5, slip stitch to form a ring, chain 2, which counts as the first double crochet, and double crochet 2 times into the ring to form the first side, chain 2 to form the first corner, 3 double crochet to form the next side. And my husband called me and he's on his way home, and I'm like, must hurry before he ruins video. Because when he gets home, like, I don't like doing this kind of stuff when my husband is home, because obviously I want to spend time with my husband, and he was supposed to work till an hour from now, but apparently he got off early, probably because he got all his jobs done, and so I'm like, hurry. So okay, so as always, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, blah blah blah, till you get back to the beginning. Sorry, I'm rushing. And there's the first row. And he started a new job like 2 months ago, and his new job is only like 8 minutes away. So I'm like, he's gonna be home any minute. And then yellow, where's yellow? There it is. Yellow is going to be the second layer. So it'll be yellow, green, yellow, yellow, green, yellow outsides. So I'm going to make a simple slip knot, join with a single crochet here and a chain one. That's going to count as my first double crochet. And then double crochet 2 times into that same space, join with a slip stitch to the side here. And then into this next corner, I'm going to put 3 double crochets. We're in a corner, so I'm going to join to these corresponding peaks. Rotate my work so it's easier to work. 3 more double crochet. I'm obsessed with joining as you go. I'm going to join to the middle of the side because then you don't have to go through and stitch anything afterwards, and some people might not like it, and that's okay. I just really stink at sewing, like really badly. So any opportunity I can avoid it, I avoid it. Slip stitch to the valley, chain 1, 3 more double crochet. Playing beat the clock with my husband. Slip stitch, 3 double crochet in the corner. Then we're going to join to the tip of this side. Whoops, I did it again. I need the yarn on this side. And this side. Double crochet into this corner 3 times. Oh, sounds like my husband is home. Slip stitch to the side. 3 double crochets in this corner. And then slip stitch, chain 1, and join.
She tripped again.
So ta-da! Here it is. Isn't that pretty? I love this.
Bad.
It does not smell bad.
It smells bad. Like
It doesn't
fresh
smell.
yarn.
Fresh yarn. You think fresh yarn smells bad?
No, I don't know. I haven't smelled it yet. Hold on. It does smell kind of weird.
Does it?
A little bit like sunshine.
Anyways, isn't that
Like
pretty?
acrylic and sunshine.
Acrylic and sunshine. Whoa! That's how you can add granny squares to Chevron. But be
This is how
careful.
you can add minutes to your videos.
True. Just
How to add minutes to your videos with Jesse.
the first time I tried to do this, I was joining to this side and realized this side is the sort of like half side. So then you would have to have a half square. Actually try to pick the sides that are like whole squares. But I actually quite enjoy this. And you could actually put 2 squares on each of these ends and maybe even one on the end and make it kind of like pointed where it's like, whoop. That would be really, really neat, wouldn't it? Kind of want to do that now. I'm not going to do it though. Oh. But if you're going to join with squares, I like doing this especially with the gappy version because something about it's not just easier to join because you could just join it even if you're not going to use the chevron with the holes in the peaks and valleys. But I feel like the look of the holes in the peaks and valleys sort of plays off the holes in the granny square and really just make it look a little more uniform and
This is now an ASMR video.
That's exactly the kind of noises I'm constantly trying to edit out of my video. Especially since my face is right here by my phone, so then as I'm crocheting, it's like...
Have you done your video yet?
Yes. So that's all there is to it. I love the combination of the squares with the chevron. And now as far as my grandmother's blanket goes, my grandmother actually did the 3 half double crochets on top, the 6 half double crochets down the side, and just skip 2 in the bottom. 6 going back up, 3 in the peak, repeat till you get to the end. That was the way my grandmother did it. And I like the way my grandmother did it. So if you want to make it the way my grandma did, that's how she did it. But if you like the idea of having consistency in, like, say, gaps in the peaks and the valleys, you can do that. If you don't want gaps in either, you can do the no gap version, you know, whichever you prefer. I know that chevron can be overwhelming, and honestly that first row can be really hard to get started. If you really struggled, or if you have any questions, or if there's something you want to see, I can make a YouTube short or something to help you out. Don't hesitate to comment below if there's anything I can do to help you. If there's something that's confusing that you need clarified, by all means, just let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to help you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see some more crochet content. Thank you so much for watching. Truly, your support means so much to me. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day. Colors!